hello, and welcome to Diamonds in the Rough TV. It's your girl Gigi, and I am back with a very special guest today. He's coming all the way from LA, and I had the opportunity to meet him at one of my virtual networking events. And then I had the honor of meeting him in person to work on a project in DC. And he's a great guy. He actually has a media company called Tribal Icon Entertainment.
What's up? What's up? You got something for me or what?
Maybe. You got something for me?
Maybe.
Gentlemen, this does not need to be this complicated. Sir, here's your key.
Cool. So you guys working for Big Daddy now?
Temporarily.
About to start our own business.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. I like that. What kind of business?
Tiny classified ads.
Oh, really? That's for what?
It's complex.
Right.
I see.
I'm so excited to have him here with us today. Without further ado, I want to go ahead and welcome Ronnie Warner.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming and spending your evening with us. I really appreciate it. So I want to go ahead and get this episode started by having you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and, just what got you into the film industry.
Okay, sounds good. I've been in this game a long time, so I'll try to make it brief. I'm originally from North Carolina, and I moved up to the Washington, D.C. area as a teenager. But my roots are in North Carolina, so I always, maintain my, home base, so to speak, in North Carolina. And so that's where I ended up going to college. And while down there in school, I ended up working at a comedy club. And that it was kind of my passion. That's why I started working there. And one thing led to another. I ended up running the club for a couple of years. And then when the club sort of, I lost the contract, the club closed down, I sort of eased my way into stand-up comedy. And so for the next probably 10, 12 years, I was a stand-up comic. And I was, on the road, traveling around, doing my thing. And then I got on Comic View and Showtime with Apollo. Things started to percolate, and I decided to, take my talents to Los Angeles. And so I came out here and, I was doing stand-up. I started writing, acting, and things of that nature. And so you start meeting people and, you start getting your feet wet, so to speak. And so I'd done a show on this Fox series called Murder in Small Town X. It was a short-lived series. And a buddy of mine on the show, we got together because I was writing, he was writing, and we ended up writing a script. And a few years later, I'm making it very condensed. And a few years later, a buddy of mine named Mekhi Phifer, who was a successful actor, he and I decided to team up, and we ultimately got the film made. It was called Puff Puff Pass, and it went straight to DVD, but it did very well. We had Terry Crews in it. LaVan Davis was in it from House of Pain. I mean, we had, several people. Mekhi was in it. I was in it. Danny Masterson from the 70s show was in it. Several people. And so it kind of got a little bit of a steam. We got a little deal at Warner Brothers after that. And then next thing you know, we came across a project called This Christmas. And, we got on board with that project. And that, it's done very well over the years. And that just sort of what led me down the road ultimately into, I made it very abbreviated, but that's what led me down the road into the film genre, so to speak. And so I've just sort of, over the course of the last, 15, 20 years of being in that particular place, I've just sort of created, other opportunities for myself. And so, here I sit now, so we just last year had a film come out on BET Plus called Unfinished. It did very well on the platform. And I have another film that's in post-production right now that hopefully will probably land somewhere, maybe on BET, All Black, or one of the networks. So, we're just out here grinding, We got some other things, percolating, always coals in the fire, you're trying to catch as many,
That's right.
as many a flame as you can possibly, you know what I mean? So that's sort of my full
Very
autobiography.
nice. Very nice. Congratulations on all of the projects that you're working on and the ones that are up and coming. So that is very exciting too. And so I would love for you to share with us what gave you the inspiration to go ahead and say, okay, now it's my time to start Tribal Icon. I want to do something unique in this industry.
Yeah, well, a couple of things, I guess. Like after Makai and I did, were part of this Christmas production, we had some deals around town, right? And just like anything else in this business, you're always, especially when you kind of cross over into a certain lane where you're getting some opportunity, you sit on the cusp of, the hit, the moment, and so we had some really cool deals in play, and some of them didn't really pan out all the way. And at that time, because I was sort of, my first couple of movies were studio movies, and so that's a good thing because you get the support of a studio. You're not, everything is there, right? And you not that you have unlimited budget, but you do have the support. Right. And so, but I also knew that there's more, there's more money and there's more leeway, so to speak, if you're independent filmmaker. But it's also hard in a certain way too, because you're tasked with having to raise funds and those type of things, and there are a lot of barriers that you have to deal with there as well. And so when we found ourselves in a position, Makai was kind of like, he just left ER and he was, sort of in between some things, and I could just see that we were kind of, not in a bad way, but we were kind of, going our separate ways, so to speak. And very amicable. It's still one of my best friends. So, I mean, it's not anything like that. Mm-hmm. But I just saw that was what was kind of happening, because he was really, really focusing on his acting. Mm-hmm. And I found myself, because, see, I started out, the whole reason I'm giving you probably more than you asked, but the whole reason I started out even writing was for myself, because I was an actor, right? I was a performer. So, I, went from stand-up into acting, and then I was writing, and actually I had befriended Marlon and Sean Wayans when I got out here, and they were really big advocates on writing. They were like, man, you gotta write, especially because they knew I was doing stand-up. And so I'd already been wanting to write, so I was sort of honing my skills, and then I ended up landing a writing gig at BET, and so that kind of sharpened my skills a little bit, so I really started focusing on writing and trying to write for myself in order to, promote myself, so to speak, in acting. And so that's how Puff Puff Pass happened. Yeah. But once we got Puff Puff Pass made, and then later on, like I said, this Christmas, and then we did another film or two. I found myself, because, I have an entrepreneurial spirit, because that's how I grew up. And I grew up in an entrepreneurial household. And so I just found myself very attracted to the business of film. And as things started to sort of go in the direction they did, I was like, man, I felt like I had enough credibility, on my side, in terms of I had gotten a couple of, nice films made that had recognition. And I felt like I could take that to the independent market. And hopefully I could, get out there and raise some money and get my own stuff cracking. And it wasn't as easy as I thought it would be, but that was the impetus that led me down the road of wanting to continue to sort of move in the direction of independent filmmaking, if you will. And it's been a struggle. I'm not going to even sit here and act like it hasn't been, but just over the years, you keep plotting, you keep figuring things out, meeting people, growing. And eventually, you start, if you do it right, if you're conservative in your approach, you can start to find some footing. And over the last few years, because I had Warner Lane Pictures for a while, right? And I did one movie under that banner. And then if I'll just get into what Tribal Icon came from. It came from the idea of being iconic in your tribe. And so we all have a tribe, and our tribe can consist of our family. It can consist of our friends. It can consist of whatever group we represent. Whatever that tribe is. All of us find a level of iconic status within our own tribe, or we look to those in our tribe to have iconic status. Just like if we look at anyone that we find super successful now and we look up to, if we go back and look at the tribe they come from, we'll see that they're just like those people that they come from. And they just happen to be the one that came up out of that tribe that we're now looking at and going, oh, wow, we love you, whoever it is, right? And so that's sort of what inspired the name, but the intention never changed, which is to, make good quality film. And or TV or whatever media consumption that is, So that's sort of what inspired it, and that's why I'm continuing to try to focus on.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing with us exactly where the name came from of your company as well. I really like that. And I also really like how you mentioned that throughout the different transitions of life, relationships changed and friendships and people that you were used to being around. There were times where you grew apart. And so you kept focused on your mission. I'm sure there's opposition that you faced that was quite serious, especially when you took the bold move to say, you know what, I'm going to go independent in this entertainment industry. And so I want you to talk to us about some advice that you would share with someone who's saying, okay, I want to be an independent artist, but I don't even know where to start.
Right. You know what? I think it's something my grandfather told me a long time ago, because that was my hero. That was my icon. And he said to me, the best gift a person can give themselves is to know themselves. And you have to really hone in on who you are individually. And then once you kind of have a basic understanding of what that is, then you can rest on, I use the word God, faith.
Absolutely.
That's your foundation. Because now once you cleared that pathway and got rid of all the muck of what you think you want to be, or what society is telling you is important to be, but you zero in on yourself, then your foundation is going to lead you down a path. So for me, it wasn't even just a decision of me going independent. Okay, it was. I'm gonna give you a little small, quick story. When Makai and I were first shopping Puff Puff Pass, we were being represented by William Morris, which was his agency. They represented both of us in that sense, right? And so we were taking meetings. And I remember us taking this meeting with this guy named Mark Damon. He was a producer. And so I looked, because, this is advice I always give people. If you're taking a meeting with someone or whatever, look them up. Always look up and research who you're meeting with so that you're aware of who they are, what they're coming with, and what they're not coming with. You never know. Those folks are getting, especially in this business, people are going to give you the complete extra, of what it really is. And sometimes it's nowhere near what they're saying it is. So you need to, and then sometimes people underplay it. And then you may go in and not taking someone seriously, and then, you'll underplay things. And, so you really want to research people before you meet with them. Anyway, point being, I researched the guy. And he had, done, quite a few movies, but they were nothing you ever heard of. I would see the opening weekend box office would be like 24,000, and I'm like, okay, who's this guy? But okay, William Morris, who's a very reputable agency, is setting a meeting up, so he must be something, So we drive out, we're meeting at his office, which is his home office, right? So we driving up through the hills, we pull up to this big gate, hit the buzzer. You know, the gate opens up. It's, you know, like this 10-foot gate. You know, wood, some kind of look like imported wood from somewhere. And we drive down this long driveway, and then we see this big house, you know, on the side. But further over the hill, you see this like 20,000 square foot house, and I'm like going, what? Okay, all right. I may not heard of what he's done, but he's done something. And we had the meeting, it went good, or whatever the case may be. We end up, you know, obviously we end up not doing business with him per se, but something stuck with me that day, and I was like, okay, there's something to this game, you know, that is not what we know it to be. So all we know is, from the outside looking in, all we know is, you know, Hollywood, studios, you know, but there's a whole nother aspect to this that people out here doing well, and they're playing along beside the system and not inside the system, so to speak, if that makes sense, right? So now, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the difference between being independent and being corporate. Now, the difference between being independent and being corporate is you. It's your personality. It's how you move and groove in the world. And for me, my personality, who I am, was not corporate. Right. It didn't fit. It just didn't fit. It wasn't like, and I'm not even saying I wish it. I'm glad it did. It just didn't. I didn't have. It's a personality that you know. There are people that know how to network and schmooze and groove, and that's not who I am. I can't do it. I'm not good at that stuff. You know what I mean? And so it goes back to knowing who you are. Yes. And if I try to force that round piece into this, you know, this round peg into this square hole, all I would have been doing is beating myself up, because I'd have been failing and not understanding why I'm failing, right? Because I'm trying to be something that God did not intend for me to be. And so once I sort of start realizing that, and it's not even just me realizing it, the universe realized it. So I was guided down a path that had nothing to do with my conscious awareness per se. I mean, my conscience was there. I'm not saying I wasn't aware that this thing was happening, but there was some clawing and scratching along the way, right? Because see, sometimes what appears to be nice and neat and safe ain't really the answer, right? So for me, it wasn't just I'm going to go do this. It wasn't. That's not it alone. Some of it was like, hey man, if you want to do this at all, you're gonna have to go do it that way. Some of it, you know, so it was a constant thing, man, that I was, you know, going back and forth with, and that's what led me closer to my faith. I got more into my meditation practices because I had to dig deep in order to. So if I'm gonna survive, you gotta figure this out, and it'll tell you. God gonna tell you exactly what you're supposed to do, but you gotta be listening. And the only way you can listen is you gotta go inside and clear the muck out. You gotta clear all this stuff away. You gotta clear, you know, away what you maybe your mom and daddy told you. Maybe you gotta clear away what your teachers told you or whomever. You know, sometimes, but sometimes you keep it too. I'm not saying, you know, you don't listen to folks, but if it ain't for you, then it's against you. So you got to clear that noise away, and it's not easy, because see you got a voice in your head that sometimes is lying to you, and you think it's you. You know, you think you really believe this voice that's you, and it's not, and that's the tough part. So you have to do work, and it's not overnight. And I'm not even saying that to insinuate that I wake up, you know, in a bed of roses every day, you know, skipping, you know, going, yay. Nah, man, it don't never stop. It never stops. So you just keep plodding forward. You keep believing. You keep, you know, holding your faith, and you'll find that path will start opening up for you.
Beautifully said, Ronnie. Thank you so much for that. And I love how you talked about really clearing out the noise, letting go of the things that are not in alignment with you, and coming to really be one with self and one with God. Because, like you said, if you have no idea of who He created you to be, you'll constantly try to fit yourself into a mold that wasn't meant for you. And so you don't get anywhere, then you're frustrated because you're like, I don't feel like I'm fulfilled. I don't feel like I'm getting anything done. I'm here, like you said, existing. And I know that there's things that I want to do, and so alignment is so important. And I love that you didn't give like a generic step-by-step outline of how to be successful, because really you gave the best key: being one with self and being grounded in God. If you have those two things, like you said, life will guide you to exactly where you're supposed to be. I love it.
That's
I love
right.
it.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done
Tell
on
the
earth
truth.
as it is in heaven. And that's what I'm living by right there. You know what I mean? That's the goal. And
That's
then
right.
after that, it don't matter.
That's good stuff. Thank you so much, Ronnie. I really appreciate that. And I know that has inspired someone on here, because that was a very powerful message that you just shared. Thank you so much.
Appreciate that. Good. I hope so.
It blessed me. So I'm like, oh, I know the audience is going to like this.
There we go.
Yes. So now it is time for a little surprise trivia. So I have 3 questions for you. I'm going to give you a scenario. I want you to basically tell us how you would handle certain situations so that you stay grounded in your faith and your integrity.
Yes,
the first one, and we're going to try to keep these answers to about a minute or less. That's the goal. That's the game.
Woo.
First question is, someone asks you to be in a movie, and so they're having you to do things that don't quite align with your beliefs. So how do you manage knowing, okay, I want to be in this project, but some of the scenes or some of the roles that they're wanting me to portray don't align with who I am? So it may be challenging for you to really step into and embrace that role. So how would you handle that?
I wouldn't do it.
Okay.
It's not even like I just
That's good.
I'm not doing that. And that's one of the things, and I keep it brief, but that's one of the things that maybe in certain cases throughout my career, maybe sometimes it may be a little hard for me, or whatever the case may be, because I ain't know. But you can't sell your soul.
Come on.
I mean, like, for what? Like, what are you gonna get out of that? You're gonna lose. It's not happening. Yeah, I've had my agent call me one time and was like, "Oh, it's this great pilot, and they wanted me to audition for the pilot, and it was Jenny McCarthy some years ago. I don't even know who that is. Man, she was hot at the time, and blah blah blah, NBC pilot, and the character was something that I wasn't, and I was like, oh no, I'm not doing that. I told you that, and now who am I? And they were like, but it's so I'm like, I don't care about all that. I don't care who's in it.
Wow.
I don't care if it's the biggest project ever. No, 0.
Yeah, that speaks to your character and the type of man that you are. Because there are people who would bend backwards just because they're like, you know what? This is an opportunity of a lifetime. But then they end up, like you said, losing their self in the midst of it. And what's really the point in the long run? You chose to be yourself. No matter what opportunity that looks like an opportunity comes your way, you have the discernment to know this is not exactly the path I need to go down. No matter if it's shining like glitter and gold, that don't mean it's really what it looks like.
Right. Everything is glitter and gold.
That's right. So, scenario number 2. You confide in someone in confidence. You're telling them, hey, this is a project, an idea that I want to work on. This is something I'm really passionate about. And then you turn around a few months later and you find that they've taken that idea. And so now they are incorporating what you shared with them in confidence in their own work. So how would you handle something like that?
The first thing I do is call my lawyer, sort of get them to start preparing how they're going to defend me, because I'm going to jail. But I can't say specifically what I do. But because you never know. You know what I mean? The scenario is the scenario. But that's something I don't take from me, man. Yeah. Don't betray me. Like I don't do that.
Right.
Would I sue? Perhaps. You know what I mean? Like, clearly if there's a ground for that, I would sue you or whatever I need to do legally because we're dealing with intellectual property. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I protect myself, so I'm protective in the first place.
Absolutely.
All my stuff is by the book. So
Yeah. And you're
yeah,
passionate
I would
about
be
what you
protective.
do.
Yeah, very, very.
I told you I love what I do, and you took, oh, that's a whole different
Whole different
respect.
thing. It's a whole different thing because now you're gonna bring the ancestors out. We cover off Mount Zion with this one.
Yo, don't play. I definitely understand on that one. So the third and final scenario, and we're going to try to keep this at about a minute or less. So I just want to know, because you are a married man, an honorable man, a faithful man of God. And so I want you to tell us, you're working on a project with a group of majority women. And so I want to know how you handle it when you're on a set. Most of them are women, maybe they're younger women. How do you set those boundaries in place for them to know, okay, this is my boundary, don't step into this space? Where do you draw the line when you're working on casts like that?
Oh yeah, my thing is you walk in your spirit. I don't have to say nothing. I never have issues like that.
Wow.
Now I've never had no issue like that. You know what I mean? Like I've been in all kinds of situations. Because I walk in my spirit. So that stuff don't even come my way.
That's powerful.
It just doesn't. Because look, man, you're inviting stuff 9 times. I'm not saying that not random things can't happen. I'm not saying that, and I'm not alluding to how someone dresses and stuff, but it's your energy.
That's it.
Your energy will tell if there's an open door. Your energy's letting everybody know there's an open door, And again, there are cases where people are crazy and they line steppers, But then you just had that's an interpersonal thing. You just got to handle that on a one-on-one situation. Right. But I'm saying just in general, man, my wife with me everywhere I go in terms of that.
There you go. I love that. Beautifully
so I never worried about that.
Beautifully ever. Said. I love how you said it's a certain energy you carry within yourself to where you shouldn't even be attracting that type of attention. And I'm the same way. I'm like, you had a choice.
Exactly. If somebody approaches, because I know how you carry yourself like that. If somebody approaches, they way out of line. They off center.
Exactly. I hope that you all are enjoying today's episode. Diamonds in the Rough is dedicated to empowering today's youth and millennials through thought-provoking and unconventional conversations from a faith-based approach. We also offer a wide range of empowerment services for entrepreneurs and creators. To learn more about the benefits of working with Diamonds in the Rough, you can visit us at diamondsintherough.net. And if you enjoy this type of content, make sure to subscribe to us on the channel. You can also find us on Spotify. The link will be in the description box below. All right, you all, let's go ahead and get back into today's episode.
It has to do with the grounding of yourself, your own identity. And I think a lot of times we're walking around, with a certain level of insecurity, right? So that's why we wear the clothes we wear or carry, some of the things we carry or, walk the way we walk or talk, because we're trying to fit within some identity that we deem society appreciates, or at least the environment that we want to be a part of. Then you're going to wear certain outfits or do certain things or try to carry yourself in a certain way that embodies that identity into what you believe that the society or environment in which you're trying to be a part of is going to embrace. You can adopt that, right? And it becomes a subconscious thing that you're doing now. And you don't realize how powerful the subconscious actually is. So now you're actually walking around in an outfit, so to speak, that you don't even realize you're wearing.
Wow.
And so now you're not understanding why the stuff is coming to you. That's coming to you. I was reading. I think it's probably Deepak Chopra, and it's it's talking about the neurological aspects. How the brain sort of deals with conscious thought and subconscious thought. And I thought it was very interesting. And my numbers may be slightly off, but this is the general gist of it. They said that the conscious mind can calculate up to or observe or take in 40,000 things per second. So like, all this around, you're bringing that in. If you're looking out, you're seeing the trees, the sky, the house in the background, the car. Like right now I'm looking at us on the phone, but I'm aware of all this stuff around me. Right. Now that's 40,000 things per second. They said the subconscious mind can handle 15 million.
Stop.
So think about the infinite strength of something that you're not even aware of that's happening in the background, this actually controlling your life. That's why sometimes the dude that come home from prison, that live a certain lifestyle, tries to, is trying to change their life, but they keep finding themselves in trouble.
That's right. Yep.
And it's because they haven't dug all the way back
to
change the energy.
It's in their soul. It's
right.
in their soul.
Yeah. So when I say that, it's not like, okay, you just carry energy. No, it's like, and like, for instance, I'm using you as an example. When we're all there and you start talking about your father and stuff like that. Oh, okay, that's what that is. You got a background. You come from an environment, I can tell, that promoted self-confidence and a certain, like, hey man, hey, I'm not, don't come over here with that. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I could tell that because that's what you come from. Not everybody has that. People have insecurities. They have all kinds of things that invite energy. And so what I'm saying is, for me, I work very hard at trying to be, I'm not perfect at it. I got my stuff, but I just work very hard at whatever energy I'm bringing is authentic. And so that way it's no questions. We're not going. It's not going to be no question. What Ronnie coming from? Nah, man. I'm coming from where you saw. Yeah. Not everyone is fortunate enough to maybe had certain upbringings or been in certain environments or being inspired by their elders. So that's why we also gotta, like Jesus said, you gotta live for each other.
Definitely. Thank you so much. And I know that this is a very important topic for young people today because there are so many sources that people are pulling information from to try to find themselves. And like you said, people are literally wearing a mask, an outfit that's not even them. And so for someone who's like, okay, I know I haven't been true to my heart, true to my core, what are some day-to-day practical things that you would recommend them do to start to get to that point where they find balance and oneness?
Yes. I'm a big, huge believer in meditation. Like every day. That's how I get my day. There are people that are pouring money into this discipline because they know it works. I mean, it literally is scientifically works, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and then you take your spirituality in there with you. I happen to be a person that follows the face of the teachings of Christ. That's the biggest thing, man. Things will start to unpack themselves. You calm down, you slow down. I think eating right,
for sure,
is a huge thing. I think we have to be very aware of what we're taking inside of our body. It's a very interesting thing because we have processed foods and GMOs and all that kind of stuff, and we can't like poo-poo on it because in one sense it's the processed foods why we're able to feed the multitude of people we're able to feed. So if you're from a very impoverished environment, unfortunately, the affordable food is normally not the most healthy food. But I'd rather have Spam than nothing. Okay. Now, having said that, if you have been blessed to be able to make choices or broader choices, then you need to be careful and to educate yourself on how to what you take in your body. Okay. Now, that's number one. Number two, what you're taking in your body visually too. I'm not against social media or anything, but be careful about how you take things in. Don't just believe whatever you hear for the first time because they're playing the cool music or they got the right outfit on. No, do your own research. But my point is, at the end of the day, be careful what you take in. Okay. I think that's very important. And then the other thing is exercise. Move. I'm not saying you got to go out there and be Miss or Mr. Universe, but move, be healthy, live a healthy lifestyle. And if you do all those things, mind, body, and spirit. See, that's what you're doing. That's mind, body, and spirit right there. You're going to be okay. You're just going to be okay.
Thank you so much. I feel like you covered so much ground in the area of becoming one with self. And that's something that I've had to also experience over the past year, just maturing into adulthood and figuring out truly who I am and my purpose and my identity. First, getting in alignment with God, allowing him to take me through that season, even of isolation, where he may say, for a moment, I just needed to be just you and me. Quiet all the noise, get off social media for a little bit. You don't need to go hang out with this person and that person every weekend. You don't necessarily even need to date right now. I just need you to become one with me and one with self. So that was the first key for me, is getting quiet with God and just allowing him to speak to me and me getting familiar with his voice, which also comes with, like you said, meditating on his word, getting to know his word. And a lot of people don't realize meditation is also just the thoughts that you allow yourself to dwell on. What are you repeating in your head over and over again? Are you meditating on the cares of this world, the lies, what's in the news, what's on social media, or are you meditating on the truth? So where are you pulling your information from? Who is your source? And so I also like that you mentioned what you put into your body. That's huge. And along my spiritual journey last year, I never thought I would go vegan. It wasn't even in my plan, but I came across this video by Cindy Trim, and it changed my life because she was teaching on energy and how different foods actually change your vibration and your frequency, and what you're putting in your body, you carry that, you exude that. So when they say you are what you eat, that is not a joke. If you are eating trash every day, eating out every day, trust me, your thoughts are not in alignment with exactly your fullest potential. Because how? Where are you pulling from if everything is junk in you? So that was another transition.
That's powerful. That's so true.
I had to make that transition. And then the third and final thing that I love that you mentioned was your ear gates. Ear gates, eye gates, everything is connected to your soul. So again, where are you pulling from? What are you watching? What music are you listening to? What message are they feeding into your spirit that you're constantly hearing and meditating on, to where it's in your subconscious, like you mentioned earlier? You don't even realize why you have these certain feelings or these certain thoughts, because you got so many voices pouring into you. You don't even know where self is.
You're absolutely right. Because it's all playing in the background. But that's a part of the overall design. Is if you want to control people, you keep them off the subject. We have to understand the society we live in is operating off of subconscious thought. It started this way. We live in a society which is based upon greed and violence. Just how it started. And now it's just manifests itself. So how do people stay in control? So they just keep feeding you. They're feeding you crap so that you ain't paying attention to what's really happening. And again, I'm not saying it's an intentionality that's a conscious thought, because it's already been planted from a long time ago. It's just like you can walk into a culture of it. I never forget this real quick. I was in college, and my cousin worked in the registrar's office, right? And I remember, like, I used to be amazed at like how bad the people used to treat the students. Like, it was like always, I don't know about our schools, man, but our administration be on us, boy. I mean, like, what you doing with that? You don't know how to do that. I mean, so anyway, I used to go see my cousin every day because she worked in the registrar's office, and I lived with her at the time too, so I go there and hang out with her. So I'm watching this interaction, this exchange. And so this new lady started. And she was like, every time a student come in, she's like, no, baby, no, that's not what you do. You need to go back and you need to get your signature and from the professor. She was, and then, that's how she was operating within like a month. Next thing I know, she's like, what you doing in here? I done told you what, right? I mean, she was acting the same way. the exact same way. And so, my point is, you can fall into an energy of the environment, you know what I'm saying? And then you will take on those same energies, and you're not even aware of it. Then my point is, you're not even aware of it. What you were saying earlier, if you're sitting there listening to violent music is playing in the background the whole time you're doing whatever you're doing, that's going to be in you. But I just made sure, I said, if anything negative comes in my mind, I get it up out of there. That's helped me out in life. So now when these thoughts come in my mind, I'm able to easier for me to get rid of them. I'm not saying I'm above it now, but at least I'm aware enough to try to mitigate it. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, to your point, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
I love that too, because like you said, a lot of the things that we even allow ourselves to think about, it affects everything to do with the energy we carry and how we interact with people. One moment we'll be getting along with someone, and the next moment our personality seems like, okay, your mood switched a little bit, and they have no idea that it's because, oh, I've been sitting over here thinking about what this person said to me earlier this week. And it may not have anything to do with the person you're talking to, but because you let it plant a seed in your mind and now in your heart, you're carrying that around. It's affecting your day-to-day life now. And so I love that you said you're very watchful of your own thoughts, because we plant seeds in our identity by what we receive as truth and what we allow ourselves to keep on meditating on, keep on rehearsing in our mind. And so I'm big on that too. Like, I literally will not allow myself to stay upset for longer than maybe 3-4 hours in a day tops, because I just cannot allow myself to have that energy take over to where I miss out on the beauty of the other side of the day. Because even if I have a rough day, there's something in that day that worked out okay.
That's right. That's right.
And it takes a special level of attentiveness to yourself to be able to pinpoint what it is that's really bothering you. Because a lot of times it's not on the surface. So I love that you mentioned that.
That's right. That's right. It's not on the surface, man.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. This episode has truly been empowering. I love it. I love how it flowed. And I just want to thank you again for coming on and being you. So tell the people where they can find you, your website, you on social media.
I'm not a big social media guy. I mean, I'm not, I'm all about it. I'm for it. I just, I don't post a lot, but I need to do a little bit more posting. But anyway, I think I'm Ronnie Warner 3RD on Instagram, Facebook, Ronnie Warner. I think if you Google Ronnie Warner, I think those different things will come up too. Tribalicon.com is our website. It just really just sort of talks about what we have, but there is a place where we will accept submissions and things like that. If people have scripts or whatever case may be. I'm not, really looking for anything per se right now, but it's plausible, that I could. And in the summertime, you can catch me down at anywhere between Santa Monica Beach and Venice Beach.
There you go.
on the weekend. So if you're out here, that's where you catch me on the weekend.
Beautiful, beautiful, Ronnie. Thank you so much for coming on with us today. It has truly been a pleasure having you. Thank you.
Appreciate you, absolutely.
Yes, and I'll make sure to leave a link to your website in the description box as well, in case they just want to check you out and see more of your work.
Absolutely. Appreciate you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Ronnie, and I hope that you all enjoyed today's episode. If you did, be sure to hit that like button down below and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you all next time. Bye-bye.